Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Welcome, everybody, another Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Here we go. We've got another amazing guest. Now, this is somebody I've known a very long time. I consider her soul friend, family, and a friend, and all that good stuff. And I'll tell you more. But yeah, recently she helped me to go deeper with my passions and my intentions and all that sort of stuff. And she's been the director of the passion tests, and she's done all kinds. I'm going to get all into the details in a moment, but she's a very a deep person, right? So she's a deep person. She knows how to channel too. She's a channeler. This lady knows what she's talking about. She's tuned in, and she can help you with your living your passions totally, like she helped me. I'm going to a whole nother level, in part because of her, and because she can help you to weather any storm. Emotional resiliency, and we're going to talk about the power of journaling. You think you know about all these things? Think again, because there's always new insights. You're going to love what Karin has been focused on this stuff for a long time, decades in some cases, I'm sure. So we're going to get into it in just one moment. Want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today. All right. So glad to have you here today. It's always exciting to be with you and to have these discussions. I'll never forget. Yeah. Like the first time that we met, and with Randy and everything, your partner, everything, like, and just have it, just like it was just like I was having the best time of my life, meeting with you guys and talking, and here we are again. Just it was like 13, 14 years ago, I think, or something. I don't know, it was a long time ago. That's all I know.
It is, and it's really a privilege and an honor to be with you.
Oh, same. So let me tell everybody a little bit more about you. Karin has been in the coaching trainer role now for the last 15 years. Her leadership roles span from educational administrator in the public school system to global director of the passion test, which has impacted, I don't know how many lives. Do you, Karin? I mean, it's tens and thousands, hundreds of thousands, I don't know, probably millions easily of lives. So she was global director of the passion test programs for over 30 plus years, all this stuff. So from her experience in public and private sectors, Karin developed a formula for consistently creating invincible, synergistic, and empowered teams, which she calls intuitive leadership teams. Oh my God, I just feel like, ooh, big sigh of relief right there. Karin is a journal creator of 2 series of wisdom journals, one focusing on the seasons. Everybody loves that. And then using self-help themes, and another on internal family systems and the 8 characteristics of self. So what did I tell you? There's stuff that you probably haven't thought about journaling. By using intuition, creativity, visualizations, and journaling, energy release work, Karin helps her students clarify goals and reinforce resiliency to create a bigger impact in the world with their business, their service, and all their relationships, which is so important to her. Her core values are connection, wisdom, integrity, leadership, and adventure. You can always get in touch with Karin. We're going to be talking more about that, but she's Karin at KarinLubin.com, and be sure to follow her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and wherever else you might find her as well. So yeah, it's fun. Go out there, Google her up, and find her everywhere. DuckDuckGo her and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's so great, Karin, and feels like tea time, with friends. And so we're gathering in all our wider circle of friends in the world, and we're going to have a talk about this work that we like with passions, I want to start there because that's where, partly where we connected, it was what, at a hub event, I guess, like this Humanity Unites Brilliance event. It was
Right.
an amazing idea of an organization, and they were doing great things at the time. And they didn't make it like a lot of nonprofit sort of, I think it was nonprofit, but anyway, type of organizations that want to do great things. Sometimes they don't make it, but they're doing incredible things. And again, I remember being there, but then, we also have the connection where I ended up, I don't know, like you were already doing the passion test, I guess, and I was too, or something, like being facilitators and everything when we met there. I suppose I'm pretty sure that's true. And then then I remember me and Randy both had like a background in psychology. I believe he's in psychology, but anyway,
Yes.
like all these commonalities. Anyway, but with the passion, it's really important because it's our passion that actually is the reason why we met. Look at all these years later, we're still connecting. It's like, I'm like, man, we have the opportunity to bring like these organizations together around the world and educate the world too, and raise them in their vibration and their consciousness and everything, and also help the world at the same time. It was like the most amazing message. And that's where we united. And it's like that's where the magic happens in life, when you're clear enough to know where to focus, right? Like where there's a lot of people listening in that are a little bit confused of where they should focus. They've got passions, but they may not know what direction to go in or where to focus their I want to be a healer, but I don't know if I can make money doing that. Or I want to do, I want to do this thing or that thing. But I want my triple flame. I want this. But I don't know where it is. Maybe I shouldn't even want that right now. They don't know. They don't have a way to even figure that out. So
Mhm.
you've worked with a lot of passionate people out there, and I imagine a lot of our listeners are very passionate people. How do we? I know, but but I don't know what you know. So how do you help people who are like, but I got billions of passions? Let's start there, because that would be more likely than they had none, on this show.
Right.
So let's say somebody has like, let's go with that one first. Like, oh, I got tons of passions. I want to do them all. I don't want to sacrifice anything. Like, how do you deal with people that have like endless passions? Like, well, I don't know if you've been like that. Sounds like you have. I certainly that way. When I first started doing the passion test, Garrett, I had like 30 plus passions, and I'm like, let me keep going.
Right. But here's the thing is that what you start to notice, and thank you, Daniel, for just saying all that you've said, but also there is this point where we start to write down a list. You're asked to write down all the things that are important to you today.
Yeah.
So we're talking today, not 10 years ago, and not what everyone thinks you should be doing.
Right. Right.
That could be holding a lot of us in a holding pattern. And that's when we start to question things. And then you're talking about limiting beliefs, which is a whole nother thing, which we work with people, right, Daniel?
Mhm.
Once they know what their passions are, then we can help them look at if there's anything holding them back around living that passion full out. So the first thing, though, is if there's somebody who has a ton of passions, which some do, what I've noticed is that you start after about 25, you're starting to, or 20, you're actually writing the same thing over again in different ways. Okay, that's
Right.
all
Right.
we're doing. And so I think what we have found is that it's very useful to actually hone it down. So with a facilitator, a passion test facilitator, then that person is going to help the one who has a bazillion passions and get it so that they have a good maybe 15. And not to say that you take out anything, all you're doing is really seeing, oh, that one sounds a lot like this one. Oh, okay, let's scratch that out, or maybe add a word in so that it embodies both, and then you're good. So
Mhm.
we really try to hone it down. And then from that place, then we help them by asking them these 3 questions to help them prioritize what's most important to them. And
Mhm.
I think it's very useful to just remember that we are humans and we are changing all the time. So our passions are not written in stone. They're written for the moment with us to get excited and energized and inspired and kind of start to follow this path that we've created for ourselves, which are our passions. And we learned that once we come up with our 5 passions, which is, based on neuroscience, we can only really remember 5 to 7 things. So we want to, so we say, remember your 5 passions or have them written down so you can review them. And then you review them every day so that when there is a very, like a big decision, so an opportunity, a choice, or some kind of decision that you are faced with, you ask yourself, is this going to take me closer to living my passions or not? And then if it's a yes, then you say, hell yes, I'm going for it. However, if it takes you away from your passions, that's when you say, thank you, no, thank you. No, thank you. Because don't you think, Daniel, that so many people are easily distracted? I am, and I am using the passion test process.
Right.
So I really stick to saying yes or no to my passions every day. So did that answer your question about the?
Yeah, we got to narrow it down. I mean, people are, I think like when people have felt maybe limited, especially most of us have felt limited earlier in life, or like people, the idea of living your passions comes in. It's like, well, I want to do a million things now. They give me permission, like they get the sense of permission, like I want to do everything, and and then maybe all those things are possible. Maybe it's possible, I guess. Maybe they aren't all for you though. Maybe just kind of excited in the moment about something. That could be true too. So, but what the power of writing it down, going over those things in the process that we teach with the passion test facilitation process, like really helps people understand what's really most important to them. And what I love about that, Karin, is like it gives them that focus. There's a number of things, right? But getting to what you said for now is it helps you to focus at your top level priority. Like a passion of mine might be to listen to Elvis Presley, songs. Okay, well, if I'm doing, but okay, I'm just going to keep listening to Elvis Presley all day. I love this. Okay, but maybe I got a passion that likes cure cancer and I'm listening to Elvis Presley all day, right? But if I don't remember, like that's my top higher priority, I'm not going to be focused there. So it's a matter of getting it focused so that everything works and don't get distracted by other lower level passions that still be there, right? We always say you're not going to lose any, but like they get in their proper focus and it lets everything unfold magically, like at a higher level, like is what I love. Yeah.
Well, that's right. And when you have what you're calling your lower passions as in not as high a priority, those then become, as we go through the process, we then create what's called markers. And then you can take those other passions that are not in your 5, and you can begin to see how might these be actually examples or evidence of you living those 5 passions. So perhaps you're doing, Elvis Presley concerts or for cancer, survivors, right? So like, what the hey, you don't have to give one up necessarily. You embed it into what might be called markers, and the markers, in the passion world, we call that for evidence or something that might be observable that you could actually see doing if you're living that passion of, helping people with cancer, let's just say. So, or stopping cancer or whatever it was exactly that you said. But the idea is that you want to, we don't want to say that there's one passion is better than another. That's not at all, Daniel. I know what you were not saying.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say it's lesser than necessarily, but it's not the higher priority that sings to your soul. Yeah. That's
right. And that's the other thing is that I wanted to state is that when we ask the question, we're asking which feels better. So we actually go from the top of our list and we go down and we're comparing 2 passions at a time. And so we're asking, which feels better, this passion, whatever that is, or this. And then we're looking to see, and we're asking ourselves to move out of our head into our heart. also really important because we are very linear and mind focused,
Yeah.
right, in this culture.
Yeah.
So to bring it into our heart is like, oh, that's like a whole different paradigm, right?
Right, which is funny because that's primary in some cultures still in the world.
That's right, but not necessarily in the Western,
Right,
world,
right,
at least that
right,
we're living in.
right, right. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and so that's. But what about the people now? Every once in a while, right? We've built, I don't know how many thousands of people you facilitated for. I've definitely
A
probably
lot.
facilitated easily 100
Easily.
minimum. Like I don't know how many, 100 at least people. And
Thousands.
every once in a great while, most of the people that come to me aren't this way. There are people who are like, I just don't know what I want. I
Yeah,
have no
that's
clue. I
right.
don't really know what I want. So how do you help people? What can they do to discover their passions? Like to really get into the is it a meditation, is it this, is it that? I mean, what do you recommend for people like I just have no clue?
Yeah, and that's a real thing, you
Yeah.
know. So I think it's helpful to see the whole spectrum. And what I do is, first of all, not everyone is actually ready to do the passion test. Okay, I'll just say that out loud because sometimes we don't know, and we need to stay in that unclear place for a little while. But if we're stuck, okay, now if we're talking really stuck and we can't seem to move out of wherever we have been, Randy, you mentioned my husband, Randy Crutcher, he wrote a book called The Passion Principle with another author, Bruce Hutchinson. And I find that some of those tools really help, which is you go back in time and you look at what are some of the passions that you had or things you enjoyed when you were a young person. Okay, so you go back in time and then you look at the present. What are some of the things you're enjoying? Now, notice the words I'm using. I'm not saying like your passion. I'm just saying, what are some of the things that you're enjoying? And then what might be some of the things that in the future you might enjoy doing? So you kind of look at, oh, okay, when I was a young kid, I loved it. And there's a lot more to this process. But what you find is, oh, okay, what I did in the past was I loved being outdoors. Oh, and in the present, so I used to love ice skating. Okay, but now I love hiking. And what do I want to do in the future is, yeah, I want to do some backpacking. Okay, so there's this whole nature theme of being outdoors. And so I look and we look then together at what are some of those core elements is what they refer to in their book, Passion Principle. And that really is helpful to then take those core elements. And so backpacking in the future might then become, oh, that could be a passion, right? So I'm going to write that down. Okay, so you just kind of take a look at some of these elements that past, present, future, and then pull out the things that might really excite you. So, and again, if the word excite is even too much, then I would say, what would you like to engage with? What would be enjoyable, fun? Because again, sometimes certain words can be triggers for people.
Right. Yeah. Passion. Sometimes people think about their sex life or something, or who knows? The idea of passion.
Or something that they're so enthusiastic about,
Right.
and they might not be super enthusiastic. So we got to like bring it down to meet them. And so if any of you are listening, realize, yeah, this would be something I'd enjoy, then go with that
Mm-hmm.
and write that down.
I think another good word could be is like I haven't worked with those type of people really, but like what just kind of interests you, even that like just to
Perfect.
find it in, well, I don't know, I'm kind of interested in this or that, or
Nice.
but I can take it or leave it. Or some people are so like afraid to or blocked or something, like to claim what they really enjoy. So I have noticed that. So yeah, I mean, this might be to help people that are helping other people as well. Like, well, what interests you? Like people that are not passion test facilitator, just helping people understand what their dreams are in general. So, so that's good too. Uh,
And if I could just add something, because when you talk about passions and you talk about the things that inspire you or uplift you, because that's what, when you read your passions, that's what you want to feel. You want to feel uplifted and energized, because that's the, like when you wake up in the day every day, you want to feel like, yay, or not yay, then all right, then this is going to be a good day, because you have a little more clarity. That's what I think is very powerful, is the clarity and recognizing that you're now on a path. You don't need to know your purpose, right? At least, Daniel, that's my belief, is you don't need to even know your purpose, because you're living your passions. You actually are fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah, I mean, we can do all kinds of things. Again, like all the systems out there to tell you what your purpose is, or we could do all kinds of methods to do it. But I used to do that. I used to come up with a statement, this is your sole purpose and everything, just to give people a guiding light. But
Yes.
and it always has truth to it. But yeah, sometimes you can go nuts, like, because it's so narrow if you have just one statement or something, right? It gets so narrow. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, I've got all these other. But you're right. I think you're right. Like when you're doing all those things, you're naturally doing whatever that one or two statements is, or whatever it might be, but paragraph even. But like you're naturally going to be doing those things anyway. I remember when I was doing those, and I did one for myself. It was really generic, but it was like helping people to answer their soul's calling with love and compassion for all. And I feel like I'm doing that. I mean, I always, I'm a hard grader, so I'm like, well, there's so much more to do with that, but but like, without continuing, I did in the beginning always focus with that, but like I let it go, because I was like, okay, sometimes it's time to let something go. But by just focusing on those passions, you find you're doing that anyway. Like, okay, it's happening anyway. So
Which is actually kind of cool.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, if we reframe it, instead of like, okay, whatever, it's more like, yeah, that's so cool that unconsciously we are going to start to move in the direction. And here's the thing, is that we are not in charge of the universe, right? So the universe is going to keep bringing us things that will hopefully keep us more in focus of what our, if you want to call it, our soul's purpose or our destiny really is. So whether they're good or hard things or whatever you want to call them, these are the situations and the experiences and the adventures that we have to help us unfold, really our destiny, our gifts that are within us, and to bring them out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, what I can say about it is that it definitely, I got into it when I just started to get into things like coaching and everything. And so it's been an instrumental tool. And
Totally.
again, Karen, I don't know. I probably is hundreds of people. I really have, because I did some
Yeah.
courses. I remember in the beginning, I had to actually an authorization to do to teach it in a specific way with Janet and everything, with the founders, and then it served people that way. So mostly I've done it with people one-to-one, but
Nice.
I love, that deep nurturing, that we do in the one-to-one. So, but yeah, I mean, I can't say how much it's helped me and other people, because it just really makes it so simple. Like I had one person, our first four passions were all about just wanting to be, I just want to be. And then the last one is, yeah, and I want to be rich, and she's not, I wouldn't say she's like financially massively rich at this point, but she's fine. She's well provided for. She barely works, so to speak, and she's got plenty enough, to take care of everything. And she is, by some people's metrics, financially free and all that sort of thing. But depends on how you want to look at it. But it doesn't matter. My point is just like, it can be whatever it wants to be. You might say, I want nothing, because people on a spiritual path sometimes say that. I'm to want nothing. That's my passion. Okay, great. Tell us all the ways you love, that. And like, there's always a way to get at it, right? When people say they only want one thing too.
Right. I think, though, if there can be a being element to, you can be, and we talk about these 8 categories. So the 8 categories, when we're talking about passions and helping someone to come up with their list, we're looking at, well, if you were living your ideal life, what would it look like for relationships? What would it look like for health? What would it look like for recreation and fun? What would it look like for spirituality, work? What would it look like for, your physical environment, and so forth and so on? So that we go through 8 categories. Education's another one. And you just, get a sense of what it is that really can support us. And that being could just be, I want to feel authentically me.
Right.
Awesome. So then we look for the markers of what would that look like? What might that feel like? So what you're saying is absolutely right on. And you just want to help build it out. I'm very, I'm a very practical person.
Yeah, I know. That's how you got after me. You're like, give me the specifics of these burgers.
I know. And I'm also someone who is very right-brained. And so I'm kind of, imaginative, creative, and I've had to really work on being grounded but I love bridging the two within myself, right? So I love to be that bridge for others. So I love the concept of passion. And I also, Daniel, one of the things that we're kind of talking about is there's this formula that in this process of when we're coaching is that we talk about intention, attention, and no tension. And is it okay if I just share what that is?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So intention is when you consciously state what you want in your life. Okay, so that is actually the passions that you've just come up with, those 5 passions, which is awesome. So you've gotten the clarity, yay. Then the second is attention. So what are you putting attention on? Well, we want to say you want to put attention on your passions, right? So whatever you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. And I think that's very helpful, because if we just look at generically throughout our lives, like when you've bought a car, that red car, and then all of a sudden you notice a red car or red cars everywhere, that's because our reticular activating system, there's a little filter that's going on in our brain that's actually saying, okay, I'm going to start paying attention to these red things, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with your passion. So when you're looking at your passions, you're now saying, okay, I'm now looking at being super strong and wildly healthy. That's one of my passions. So I'm going to look at what are some of the things I can do to support that. I'm going to say yes to those things, right? And then so that's attention. And then and also with attention is action engages attention. So we have to take action. We're not sitting on a couch twiddling our thumbs. No. We're talking about like when there's something that can be done, take that action, and that's where a coach could really help. So if it's scary or whatever, someone like Daniel could totally help you to release those limiting beliefs. I think that's very important. And then the third thing is no tension. And the no tension piece is there's 2 ways to kind of look at this. One is you're just you're just going to surrender. You're at peace. You're like, I got I'm good, because you know that you're not in charge of the universe or the general manager of the universe, as Jana Atwood has said, who is the co-founder of the passion test process. However, the other part is that if you can't do that, you're not all relaxed and just like, okay, I'll let it go. Nope. If you're not like that, then you do everything you possibly know to do. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm exhausted. I got to relax now. And you're just like, you chill out. And finally, it's at that moment that you go, okay, I surrender. That's the no tension. Because then now you're like, okay, I got to let it go. I've done everything I know to do. And now the universe is going to bring it. And the universe does bring things that, whether we think that was the thing, it will always bring us what is probably what we've been calling in. We might not have thought it looked a certain way. It always is what we need. So to me, intention, attention, no tension is kind of the magic formula. It's the passion formula, we call it, so that we can hold everything that we do in life in this way, so that we're not like, see that third one is where we're so attached, like it has to look a certain way.
Right.
That person that we want to have a relationship with doesn't have, blonde hair, or doesn't have the color of eyes, we're like, let it go. Let it go, because the person who is the right one for you is going to show up.
Right. And
But
we both have incredible stories about that, right? Like for me, I had incredible filters around who my, who I was going to marry and who's be my soulmate. I was going to definitely be not married. Someone definitely doesn't have kids. So I was looking, I look and look for almost a year or whatever it was. Like kept looking whatever amount of time it was online, because I'm definitely not a bar guy and all this other ways, but like, oh, this is a good way to meet somebody because I'm intuitive. I just tune into people. I know what's going to happen already, more or less. So I just looking at them. Even back then, way back when, I knew all that. And then so I go through it and I date nobody because I'm like, well, I already know it won't work out though. It might be a nice couple of dates, whatever. I'm not looking for that. So, but after one day, finally, I just came to a breaking point. I'm like, okay, I am so sick of this. Like, I'm going to open up all the parameters. I'm not going to judge anything. I'm just going to focus full force. And either I'm going to find that person today or I'm not. And then we're done, for a while, like I might just, I'm just going to let it go indefinitely.
oh,
And
nice.
sure enough, that's the day I found the person because I was so determined yet detached. It's both.
That's
The
so cool.
magic of both is what created it. Is when I saw Deb, I knew instantaneously. It was no doubt. It was not like, well, I kind of think maybe. No, it was like, yes, this is it, done. Like,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I heard that story. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I mean, that's my point though, is that's how magical this process. But you see, I put full focus on it, and
Mhm.
as brilliant as Janet and Chris are, and she does say strike out in every direction, like a lightning bolt or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget what how she put it,
Yep.
but it's like I wish maybe that they emphasized a little bit more on that, like go, like a little bit more, because that's what I've learned. Like although it's been fine, like a lot of years I spent like being a lot lighter with the intention. I feel like maybe I could have done a little bit better. Maybe, if I just put a little bit more into it, and I'm not putting it on them. I'm just saying like I didn't understand that fully about that because I was and the reason why is because no tension speaks to me so strongly. I'm like, just just let it happen. Like,
Right.
so that,
Yeah.
that's why I've always advertised and meditate, make money on this show. It's like, yeah, it's like, but we have to fully engage, and then we have to keep letting go at the same time.
Yes, and that's actually a beautiful kind of connector to resilience.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, because I just want to talk about resilience for a minute because I
Sure.
feel like when we're fostering resiliency within ourselves, we have to have that ability to be flexible. Because what you just said is really being flexible.
Yeah.
Oh, you're holding on and you're letting go. And there's, you're holding on to the concept, but then you're saying, okay, now I let it go because I've taken all this action.
Yeah.
And that's that no tension piece. And I believe that, when you build resilience, you're looking at how, when you fall down, because we're all going to fall down, and
Yep.
I'm talking about how, emotionally, spiritually, career, health, whatever it is, we're going to go to, there's dips. And so when we go into that dip, how do we move out of it? Because it's the way we respond to it that I think is really important. And the way I like to suggest that we respond is we do it with a lot of self-care,
Mhm.
that we do it with like compassion, like it's okay. All right, I just fell into a deep hole. And maybe today's not the day to try to figure out, my life, right? I feel depressed or whatever it is that somebody might be saying, or they feel anxious.
Right.
That, so the resilience is actually then saying it's okay. And I know, Daniel, you have a tool that we both use called Nature's Guidance System, and this is a tool to help 7 steps to move yourself from contraction into expansion. And so I really do believe that resilience, and one of the ways and tools that I use is also journaling. And I just want to put a plug in for journaling, because I'm not talking about that little pink diary with a little lock that I used to have, even though although that was very fun when I was 7 years old. I'm talking about using a journal as a way to connect to yourself, because that is also how you build resilience. You have to stay connected to your heart and to what has meaning for you. So that's actually why I created journals as actually in the very beginning, because I had a lot of clients who were not clued into their emotions, and they could not really explain to me what they were feeling. And I went, wait a minute, hold on. That's interesting, because for me, I had a little more of a language capacity around my feelings. Now I've grown as well. And I also can see how, it's easy. The human mind wants to latch onto, I'm good, right? Instead of, oh, I actually feel happy and a little nervous. And, like now I'm really exploring and I feel, well, maybe my back's a little tired. So, so we're exploring what is going on with you. And then and feelings, the feeling for my back would be, I'm tired. Okay. So you're looking for what are the feelings that you have, and just seeing that there might be more than one. And I think that was a big piece for a lot of folks to recognize that you don't just have one feeling. And again, that's building resilience. We want to expand and begin to accept and embrace the whole, which is us. But we often push away certain feelings, like maybe for some, I can speak for myself, it's been anger. I don't want to get too angry because I want people to love and approve of me.
Sure.
And so, oh gosh, that can hold me upside down. So when I realize that, then I can actually allow myself to feel whatever it is that I'm feeling. And again, because I'm connected to myself, because I'm writing in my journal, connecting to what is going on. And I have a very guided journal. Some people love blank journals. I don't, whatever journal you love, use. Okay. I'm a busy person. I have journals for busy people and deep thinkers. That's what I call it. And there's a seasonal journal, which I don't know about you, Daniel, but I love the idea that the seasons can really help us navigate our inner world. Because what's happening outside could potentially be showing us what's happening inside.
Yeah, totally.
So to me, there's this reflective practice when we're journaling. We're looking, like, for example, the fall. Right now, in September, we just had the fall equinox. Okay, that's equal day, equal night. That's a lot about balance. And I don't know about you, Daniel, but for me, the summer, I was so out of balance. I was like seeing so many people, it's like we finally got out of the pandemic and suddenly we could go places or whatever. And I was doing way too much. So I felt a little bit out of balance. And so that has been my kind of my shift into the fall, is to how to better balance what I do outside with the time that I need to transition. I do far less things than I've been doing, which is like unheard of for Karin, but it's been very, very useful to me. Taking more rest moments, and I'm not saying take a nap, but some people might, because I don't nap. But what I'm talking about is just giving yourself some downtime so you can go to the next thing. But the other thing about fall is, you want to harvest. You want to harvest the good things that you have, that you really love and are feeling good to you. And then the things that, and that stuff that's good to you, that's like the soil, that's like the, the compost that we put down on the soil. That's what you want to nurture. And the things that are not serving you, like for me, busyness, I want to pull that out. I want to take that out of my life. And then I'm going to nurture more stillness, more reflection, more transition. And that way, when it becomes winter, because that's what's going to be happening, we're going to be ready, because that's when we go really deep inside. And so that lovely nurtured, compost that we've been sitting in, now we can really take it in, bring it down into our roots, because that's what's happening with the plants around us, right? Trees and all the other beautiful plant kin that we have around us. So I'll be quiet now.
No, that's great. I mean, it just, to me, yeah, all that too just points again to what you're saying with emotional resiliency is we are not going to have as much emotional resiliency if we're not paying attention to the signs. How are you feeling? Well, I feel great. Things are fine, you know, or things are fine is the most common. Things are fine. I feel good. It's just I'm fine, you know. Okay, but how's your body feel? Have people tune in a little bit more and don't accept the idea that you're just fine. You know, like I'm okay, I'm fine. We all know, like most of us in personal development, all know that that's just a cop out to not really get into how you really feel. Like, okay, how you really feel right now, and to take a look at that, and then instead of it being something where it's a problem and you're going to be too vulnerable or whatever. I'm not saying you have to tell everybody all these things that are going on for you, but like just for yourself, like at least like to start with, you can share with people you want to, but when it's appropriate to, but like just to take a look at those feelings. Like I said to my coach the other day, she's coached me many times over the years. And I'm like, I was having a challenge. It was my most challenging day I've had in a long, long time emotionally yesterday. And I was like, oh my God, and this and that. I told her I feel very embarrassed saying all these things to you because when you're in your emotions, you say all kinds of crazy things. And I know I wasn't bought into it, but like not really. Like I know it's just my emotions and my brain ultimately, but it's still happening in me. I'm like, oh my God. And then I have a sense of embarrassment or whatever, which I don't usually, but that's how wild it got for me yesterday. But then today I feel more anchoring, I feel stronger in some ways, so that's that resiliency that we're talking about. If you had asked me yesterday, you think you're going to be able to, keep rocking on and everything? Who knows? I might have said that. I probably, but God, if I was speaking for my emotion, I would have said no, right?
Right.
So I mean, I always have the wise mind pretty connected to that. So I always know, like, hey, this is just my emotions. I'm moving through it. But I probably would have been, I don't know, maybe just give it all up right now. Like the way I'm feeling today, which again, it was a very rare day. Over last year, I would say that was one of the worst emotional days for whatever reason. I don't even know. I know some of the reasons, but I don't know all the reasons even why. And I probably it's because of the big shift happening, for a lot of people, including me right now. So anyway, but yeah, there's these cycles. You're not meant to feel great all the time.
That's
That's one of the things I love about that whole contraction expansion thing we talk about is like you're to embrace the contraction and to really get into it because and accept it and embrace it because too many people fight it. Oh, I should be feeling good. I should be having fun, and I'm such a loser because I'm feeling down right now. And like no, this is normal. Like I don't care who it is. Like I always say, that wheel turns for everybody. Expansion, the contract. I don't care who you are. Eckhart, all of them. Yeah, okay. They say, well, I don't feel okay, but there's still a little wheel in there. There's still a little wheel. You feel a little contracted sometimes, right? Some of them will say, well, technology kind of bothers me. And like things like that, right? Right? You find the piss ass in there somewhere, right? I can find every single one of these people that say they've transcended everything. I always look at it like a fun challenge. Bring me all the masters. I will find the piss ass in every single one of them. It's still there's still those wheels, going on.
Absolutely.
And so, this idea that we're going to be the Spiritual Rockstar podcast is a good place to talk about it. It's like fully awakened, no self anymore, nothing, fully ascended. You're in the body, you're going to have contraction. So the more you can embrace that, the more resilience you'll have.
That's for sure. And I love, the the cycles, because that's what nature is showing us. The seasons are showing us. And I think that's also what plants are showing us. There's a life and death cycle that's always happening. And even though I say the word death, I think that can also mean, a softening, a quieting down, a silent moment, right? But the thing that I also find really useful is that in the journals that I have created, I wanted just like the passion test, there's something about simple and powerful. And the journals that I have created guide you. So they're all theme based, like you said. So for example, fall is about health and well-being. The winter is about self-love. Each journal then has a question every day about that topic. When we go into the feeling, so what are your feelings? Then what's that? You said it, body sensation. What's the body sensation? I have lists of feeling words and of body sensation words to help people. And then from there, what's the situation that triggered or got you thinking about this feeling? And then is there any step or action that you want to take, knowing what you know now? And then there's a whole thing which is really helpful, because most people don't know why they're being, like suddenly they're not feeling so good and they don't know what the heck it is. So when they understand, oh, it's because, my partner talked to me a certain way, I feel kind of depressed right now about that. Then now I can take action on, okay, now I can go and I actually want to talk to this person and say, hey, I would love it if we could have a conversation, hold hands, talk for a moment. Okay, so there's that kind of makes it go, aha, that's your aha. And then I always end with gratitudes. And what are something like 6 gratitudes? What are 6 things that you appreciate or feel grateful about in your life? So I'm always working with the whole kind of right brain concept of, and here's the thing, when you're writing, you're actually using your left brain. So it's very interesting. You're doing a left and right brain activity when you journal.
Yes.
Right. So writing is the left brain, linear. You got to think about what you're doing and writing. And then the right brain is the feelings, the emotions.
Do you do the non-dominant hand stuff too? And do you
I
work
don't.
that much? No, not okay. I was curious.
Yeah, no, we just want to
Tap into it either. Yeah, from both sides. Yeah.
exactly. And so I also have another journal, which is called, what you said was an IFS journal, wisdom journal. And I worked with an IFS means internal family systems. And Richard Schwartz is the gentleman who actually is the founder of Internal Family Systems. And he has created this whole kind of foundation or template for how you look at all the parts of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then they talk about how to bring yourself back to the centered self, the whole. Because often we have parts of us that get triggered and are working kind of overtime. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that to basically help you survive. So when those parts get a little too triggered, we want to bring it back into, I don't want to say balance, but I want to into being acknowledged for what they're doing, and then recognizing what they're doing, so that if it's like an addiction that is being triggered, to shut things down, those parts are called firefighters. They're like blasting you and saying, chill out. You don't want to feel that.
Right.
Okay. There's also managers, and the managers are the parts that are like saying, okay, I'm going to be really organized here and I'm going to figure this out. That's the organizer. Or there's the person, so there's lots of different parts. And then there's the exiles. The exiles are the ones that which are really connected to that little child within. So maybe the one who feels lonely. So for me, it might be the little girl inside who feels like she's not enough, right? So that every one of us have these 3 aspects working. And then when we can acknowledge them and embrace what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then supporting it to really be the full self, centered self, great peace and joy comes from that.
Great. Yeah, I did tons of journaling when I was in high school. I was journaling every day, and it was, not fancy. I was just pretty much talking about how bad I was feeling,
Yeah, that's what a lot of us were
among
doing.
other things, but mostly how bad everything was.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, journaling's been more sporadic for me probably since that time. Like I go through periods of journaling and times when I'm not doing it. But there are some times, when I've gotten into it, and some of these processes with the journaling can bring you into a shockingly, like other things that can be a little shocking at times, like shockingly awesome new levels of wholeness. That word is so perfect for journaling. Like all of a sudden, like, oh my God, there's like this wholeness I feel that I didn't know I even had access to after you do these sorts of journaling exercises that Karen's talking about. So I've done not exactly what she's saying, maybe in that way, but similar, maybe kind of similar things a little bit, and brings you into that sense of wholeness. So if you're always like, why do I never feel whole? It's journaling it can be one of other ways, but like it's one of the ways that you really can get into it. I've had people on this podcast that are like, you know, this journaling process that they teach or whatever, it's brought me to such levels of wholeness. They feel as though they're completely enlightened and they don't need anything anymore because they're just so inwardly fulfilled. It's extraordinarily powerful.
Mhm.
Journaling, writing things down and all that stuff. So I think it's incredible that you have a journal guide
Oh
for
yeah.
that. That's not everybody has that for people. They just could tell them, oh, this is how you journal, or they might have a journal notebook, but it sounds like you give a little bit more, maybe you give a little more instruction with it, maybe something that in depth
More
that,
directed. Yeah,
yeah,
it's more directed.
you're such a teacher, so much.
Well, and here's the thing is I just don't have or take the time to write for 30 minutes to an hour. I'm writing in probably 5 to 15 minutes. And
Nice.
it's like bullet points, and I feel so much more connected to myself. I am able to communicate way more effectively with the people I care about because I now know what's going on within myself. I can recalibrate or redirect myself, kind of what you were just saying.
Mhm.
If you're like, whoa, it's either amazing or you're like, whoa, I'm going way off here. I want to recalibrate.
Mhm.
It's a way to be mindful,
Mhm.
when you journal. Um, and I think it's being authentic and it's being real with yourself, right? You can burn these journals, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, everybody worries about that, aren't you?
Oh,
We're gonna read all this stuff. Oh my God.
yeah, you can burn them, you can just toss them, you can do whatever. But there is this inner stillness that I can find when I do this process and journal every day. And I do. It's actually, to me, it's one of the ways that it has saved me big time over the last 5 years during the pandemic and ongoing. Because, I was just saying to you earlier before this whole podcast is that the world feels wobbly right now. So
Mhm.
I need to stay centered within myself because that I actually can connect with, and it actually feels strong and it doesn't feel so wobbly. It just feels like solid.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that I often, I might feel wobbly along with the outer world or I might not, but at least I'm now connecting in. And that connection is such an important thing. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that authenticity and that peace comes after you are authentic with yourself, real with yourself. So
Exactly. It's kind of like the number one ingredient that we need in a sense, because I find there's so much insincerity. That's why one of the reasons why people hate marketing and sales, because the way it's usually done, it has often been so insincere to just. I wanted to almost put up a post yesterday, and I've been guilty of it too. Like, wow, I've marketed and everything,
mm,
but I've done it. We've all done it, but to some degree. But yeah, like, would you ever do a relationship you cared about the way some of these people market? Like, you better get on the boat or it ain't gonna be there for you and all this stuff. You ever really talk to like listen, you better go to dinner with me tonight, or I might not be available tomorrow, or something like that. Like, I mean, we wouldn't do a caring, loving, deep relationship with other people that way. And so it makes me wonder, like, like it's a whole other topic, but like the sincerity, though. I always say, like, you want to have maximum healing, a maximum awesome manifestation, just be as sincere as possible and you'll see it.
Oh,
There's no
beautiful.
question about it.
Yeah,
So
that's a beautiful, yeah, sincerity. That's a great word. I also think that when sometimes we often do the second guessing thing in our mind because it's just like rolling around in our head, these thoughts. So
mhm.
we actually do kind of like a mind dump and you write it out, what the situation is, what you're obsessing over. You basically find that you're less overwhelmed.
Mhm.
The anxiety diminishes.
Yeah, get it
That's
out, right? Yeah,
that's powerful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
those are the good ones that definitely burn in the fire for sure.
that's right. And then there's this allowance of integration, that embracing of the whole. Because
Mhm.
I think it's really a lovely thing to be able to recognize that we are whole and we are human. And when we're spiritual beings living in human bodies, we have to recognize that there is a dance that we're doing all the time.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So I would love for you to share with people more about because we want people to know where they can learn more about these journals and about you and how they can maybe connect and work with you and all these sorts of things. So can you tell them
Sure.
about that? Yeah.
Sure. So they can go, I'll put it in this chat box, but it's Dr.
Mhm.
Karin Lubin.
Mhm.
And when you go there, you can see there'll be a pop-up that will, if you're the first time person to go to the website, there'll be a pop-up and you'll be able to get a download of a free journal, which has really the feeling words and the body sensation word lists. So that you can, if you already have a journal, you don't need to get one that I've made, just do, but at least have a variety or a list that has more feeling words that you have even thought of. I find it fascinating and wonderful and extremely enjoyable to go and play with, well, how am I feeling? And go with 5 words of how you're feeling. They could be expanded, some could be contracted, doesn't matter. You just tap in to what's real for you. And the other thing on let's see, on that list or the web page would be, if you go to the bottom, you can, to the home page at the bottom, there is a ebook that you can receive, which is Reconnect to Your Core. And it has lots of good examples and tools for you to help connect to your inner core, because I'm a firm believer that we have to do that every day. So
Oh, yeah.
that's just another freebie and something that people can use. And then there's just a lot of more information that if people want to know about journals, there's a tab for that. I actually do something, Daniel, that you might be interested in, which is a free 3-day journaling jumpstart. And
Mhm.
it's a challenge for some people.
Yeah.
I love it, but it helps people to see kind of how I work and how the journals work, if they're interested in the seasonal journals. And the actual name of it is My Life Through the Seasons, a wisdom journal and planner. Okay, and you can look up my name, Karin Lubin. It's all on the website. Okay, but there's plenty of info and
Yeah. How
there's
to live your passions,
there's all of
stuff.
that. Yes, the passions are actually in the journal.
Yeah.
I suggest that people write down what is important to them so they can focus on it and have everything in one place, your journal.
Mhm.
Ta-da.
No, here it is.
Right.
People like to be organized. That's heaven right there, right?
Exactly. That's right. So
Awesome.
there you have it. And I really would love it if people want the newsletter, if they want some more information, they can always email me, get a newsletter from me. I mean, there's so much, but Daniel,
Yeah.
for me, the most important thing is that they connect with you. And if you can use the journals and have people get support from that, you use it and use it within your coaching and your counseling. And I think that would be a fantastic, fun thing, right? We just put the good words out and people use it and tap into it. And I know you will do that with all of the people that you work with. You always have like brilliant things to say to people and for and with people. So thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Karin. So wonderful. Let's go ahead and we're going to put the links in the show notes, by the way, if people are looking for the link or like not sure where to go still, but it's drkarinlubin.com. And so we'll have that in there for you. And also we're at the time of the show where I do a little tuning in with my guests. So you're ready. You're ready for that?
I'm totally ready. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's so very nice.
Awesome. Let's do that then. Okay. So let me go ahead and start tuning in. All right. Do like 3 different little downloads. So they're showing me a tree, like it's really big. It's a very big tree. So like the trunk seems like like people's passions or something like that, but then you got the roots too, right? So you got these deep roots, and and then that's all the deeper stuff that you're connecting with as a soul and everything. So maybe there's something about utilizing the tree as a metaphor potentially, because I think I saw it on your book, and I just kind of getting this vibe around using trees. So anyway, so that's one download for you. So let's go ahead and see what else is coming through. Okay, so there's that heart, the universal love heart, for making sure nobody gets left behind and everything. And I know, like I'm reminded of what I saw in your bio about your family, the Holocaust, and all that, and that background. So there's a connection there of we have to really be mindful of the connection with making sure that we are taking care of ourselves first, of course, but taking care of our relationships and our connections with each other, to support our wellness, and that community vibe is really a cornerstone of your livelihood. So you connected into it for many years that I've known you anyway, through the passion test community, and now you have your own community now, but like that continues to want to just flourish and grow. So this community energy is just really vital message, the strength and power community, enlightened communities bring in the world. So there's something about that. So like when you're saying to me, why don't you bring this to your own community? I can already see it, it's already done. Here you go. You're going to be journaling, you're share with everybody, you're going to do it with your community. You see, so you're already in that, as a super enroller you are. So so anyway, so like that, so I just see that with building community and connection. So this is important. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, they're not gonna let you get past me without me talking about these deeper gifts too again. All right, so okay, so what do you want to share specifically on that today? All right. Yeah, they're just encouraging you again to move through the fears of more visibility and the deep channel that you are. I'm going to keep telling you for a day or die, you're a deep channel. Yeah. But like, yeah, so just remembering that I'm not sure, but my sense intuitively is that there's a sense of like well, some people might be into it, but what if some aren't? And something about, so maybe some of that people pleasing you mentioned before. So just like kind of like getting past that, realizing nobody's going to hate you for it, really. I mean, not anybody that already loves you. So it only can, support those that are willing, like the people that are most closely aligned with you are likely going to be in those circles where you're doing that
Mhm.
channeling, and maybe you are doing it still, but I just feel like that needs still needs a lot more attention.
Mm.
Those are a few things to just give you
Hey,
downloads here. All right. Any
thank
quick
you.
thoughts or reflections, Karen, on what came through?
Well, I love everything you said, and I think the tree is my metaphor for life. So that's totally perfect. And I just think the community concept and is how I do think. So that's really, it's just interesting and beautiful that you've highlighted that. And the channeling, I do need a push. So thank you for that.
Okay, happy, always happy.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking further. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. All right, that's amazing. So, all right, so everybody, if you want to check me out further and you want to, if you want to rock this planet, come on, rock your world, go to yoursacredpurpose.com, get your rock your sacred purpose energy scan. If you are a light leader that does really want to rock it and you're serious about that, then go ahead, get yourself a session with me. It's not that big of an investment compared to what you'll get. Most people are like, whoa, like it's the one of the most powerful channelings I ever got, or tune-ins, or whatever, or at least people are really find it very, very helpful at a minimum. So you can check it out there. And then also there's the free Meditate Make Money meditation. Get your connection with the higher realms and connections, and open up your chakras and get your answers, and turn on the the energy of money inside you that is already there, right? When we turn it on and we start magnetizing what it is that you're wanting in your life and financially. So it's at yoursacredpurpose.com. All right, Karen. So yeah. All right. So
Thank
any
you.
last, do you have any last thoughts? Yes.
No, I just want to thank you for bringing, the wisdom of journaling and passions and being in community together and really connecting to oneself and doing it with you. And I think your what you just offered is a beautiful thing at the very end. I think everyone should go out there and check out what you just provided for them, which is a beautiful assessment. So that's awesome. I'm going to check it out.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
All right.
Okay. So everybody, as I always say at the end, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone.
Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.